Old pirates, yes, they rob I. Sold I to the merchant ships. Minutes after they took I from the bottomless pit, but my hand was made strong by the hand of the Almighty. We forward in this generation triumphantly. Won't you help to sing these songs of freedom? Freedom, all I ever had, redemption songs. Emancipate yourself from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our mind. Have no fear for atomic energy. None of them can stop your time. How long shall they kill our prophets while we stand aside and look? Well, some say it's just a part of it. We've got to fulfill Jabot. Won't you help to sing these songs of freedom? Was all I ever had, redemption songs. Emancipate yourself from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our mind. Oh, have no fear for atomic energy. None of them can stop your time. How long shall they kill our prophets while we stand aside and look? Well, some say it's just a part of it. We've got to fulfill Jabot. Won't you help to sing these songs of freedom? Was all I ever had, all I ever had, redemption song. I say all I ever had, all I ever had, redemption song. I say all I ever had, 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 all I, all I, all I, all I, all I, all I, all I ever had, redemption song. These songs of freedom. Redemption songs, these songs of freedom. All I ever have, all I ever had, all I ever had. Redemption songs, these songs of freedom. Ba-da-da, 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 ra-ba-ba, 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 redemption song, these songs of freedom. All I ever have, all I ever had, all I ever had, all I ever, all I ever, all I ever had, redemption song, these songs of freedom. Ba-da-da, 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 one song.
Greetings, everyone. Good evening and welcome, welcome, welcome. I am doing my Facebook Live update during this ATT session tonight, and I'm so glad to be with you tonight. Thanks so much for joining us today during Giving Day. We've had a really great day, a full day, lots of energy. I have been glad to be back on campus today. It's such a wonderful, warm, beautiful day here in the city of Chicago. Just wanted to say I'm Jessica Houston. I work in the advancement office, and our team has been putting together this Giving Day with so many wonderful volunteers and friends, folks just like you who have come and have joined us today for this start of the 24 hours of giving. We're not yet at the halfway mark in terms of the 24 hours, but I can share and report, and I'm happy to share that we have reached a halfway mark in terms of our goals. We have reached 67% of our financial goal. We have raised $84,000 as of right this moment from 161 donors. So I just feel like we just need to applause because we are halfway there, and it's because of folks like you. Thank you so much for supporting Giving Day, and thank you so much for supporting in the ways that you have. This year we have two causes, scholarships and anti-racism initiatives, and we're excited tonight because you will be introduced to the newly formed and developed Antiracism Transformation Team of LSTC. So now let me present to you Vima, who will be leading us this evening.
Thank you, Jessica. Thank you, all of you, for being here. Tonight is a blessing and such an honor to lead this part of Giving Day. My name is Vimari. Everybody calls me Vima. My last name is Couvertier-Cruz, and I am the liaison for the Antiracism Transformation Team at LSTC. And tonight I am so excited because we're going to have different parts of this session as to address what is it that we are doing. This is the first time that we are putting the Antiracism Transformation Team out there, and to be able to talk and engage with the broader community of LSTC, it's indeed a great opportunity and a blessing. And I want to start tonight with an interview that Jessica and we had to Joy and Derek. And who are Joy and Derek? You're gonna be hearing about them. And then after this first part of the conversation, we are going to enter in conversation with some of the ATT members that are here tonight. So I'm going to share my screen and invite us all to have a moment on reflection as we hear this interview. Good evening, my name is Vima Couvertier-Cruz, and I am the liaison for the Anti-Racism Transformation Team at LSTC. And I have the pleasure and the privilege to be in really great company this evening. With me, I am going to introduce Miss Jessica Houston and Mr. Derek Dawson and Miss Joy Bailey. And these people are all a part of the Antiracism Transformation Team. And we want to have a conversation tonight about how is the Antiracism Transformation Team being supported at this work with the people from Crossroads. So Jessica, who are you and how are you related to the Antiracism Transformation Team of LSTC?
Thank you, Vima. I am Jessica Houston. I am the Alumni Services and Event Manager for LSTC, and I am a member of the Anti-Racism Transformation Team. I'm glad to be with you tonight. And I also happen to be the manager for the Giving Day event.
Very, go ahead. Who are you and how are you connected with the ATT of LSTC?
Well, hi, I am Derek Dawson. I am an organizer and trainer for Crossroads Anti-Racism Organizing and Training. And my primary role with Crossroads is to serve as co-program coordinator of Chicago ROAR, which is Chicago Regional Organizing for Anti-Racism. That is a program of Crossroads. I was fortunate enough to be assigned to support LSTC's Antiracism Transformation Team, partly because I have experience on a team myself. I was one of the early members of the anti-racism team for the Episcopal Diocese of Chicago, which is my denomination. And so I spent 10 years or so on that team developing this work. And so I guess someone decided that I might be a good person to help escort LSTC's team through this process. And it's indeed an honor to be a part of that.
Thank you, Derek. And Joy, tell us, who are you and how are you connected to the Antiracism Transformation Team of LSTC?
Thanks, Vima. Hi, everyone. I'm Joy Bailey, and I go by she, her, hers pronouns. And like Derek, my role at Crossroads Anti-Racism Organizing and Training is to be a co-program coordinator of CROAR, the Chicago area regional program. And so we work with all kinds of organizations across the city and the Metro Chicago area. And it has just been a delight to work with LSTC. I come to this work actually first through the church that I was attending when I lived in Michigan, which was a Christian Reformed church that had an anti-racism team. And then I also was a high school Spanish teacher in Kalamazoo Public Schools that had an anti-racism team. So like Derek, we both came into this work through teams that we were a part of. And that's how we got involved with Crossroads and eventually started working on staff. And so we both really appreciate the value of having an internal group that can help move an institution to become more of an anti-racist, anti-oppressive institution over time. It's really hard work and meaningful and life-giving work. And so it is such a great honor to be part of the process with you all.
Thank you so much, Joy. And so this is our first question on how to start talking about this is by asking you, what is CROAR and what is the work of CROAR?
Well, Chicago Regional Organizing for Anti-Racism does exactly what we're doing with LSTC, which is that we help build an institutional and systemic understanding of systemic racism. And then we think about ways that we can apply that learning and that understanding to organizations and institutions like LSTC. It's a fairly involved process. One of the things we recognize is that when we talk about race and racism, we often approach it in a very individualistic way. And the reason we form teams to do this work is because it takes people from all levels, all areas of an institution to be effective in addressing systemic racism. And so our work is to just help an organization like LSTC do that work at every level. How do we look at the policies, the programs, and the procedures, move away from individual notions of things like race prejudice, and really dig deep into the kinds of policies and programs and the ways in which all of us are harmed by systemic racism. So our job is to support an institution going through that long and sometimes a complicated process in a way that can be life-giving instead of life-stealing. And so our mission is to be escorts and walk through that process with organizations like LSTC.
Sometimes we say because racism is a structural problem, we need a structural intervention. That we hope that your team will be in place for generations until white supremacy is eliminated. So it's not just about charismatic leaders and that when they leave, so does the work. And so we're glad that you all are embedding anti-racism into your structure.
Vima, I'd like to follow up with a question, and thank you so much for sharing with us about CROAR, because it feels like this question is apropos right now. So why now for LSTC? Is this work important to develop this team? Why for such a time as this, the work of the Anti-Racism Transformation Team?
It's a really good question, Jessica. And I think about the partnership between CROAR and before CROAR even existed with Crossroads Anti-Racism, our larger national organization. The partnership with LSTC has been, I mean, at least 20 years. I think about one of our colleagues, Pastor Michael Russell, who is an alumni of LSTC, has been doing organizing for several years. And we've, over the years, have worked with you all to build some shared language and shared analysis of the problem. We know that you all have been doing your own work internally, and that sometimes institutional change has starts and stops, and we start going and then it stalls. Everything, the inertia of the status quo can be really hard to fight against. To go against that dominant culture in a countercultural way is not easy. This kind of change does not happen without a struggle and without intention. And so over the years, LSTC has been building. And within the last few years, there have been students and faculty and staff at LSTC who have said, now's the time. Now is the time. Let's not let this fall through the cracks. We're going to make this happen. And you all have done a beautiful job of pulling together key stakeholders from all the different constituents of LSTC, alumni and students and staff and faculty and board members to say, we're committed to this. And it really shows. It shows that this isn't just a new idea that's coming out of the blue. You all have put in much time to build the foundation for this team. And so it is the right time. You all, it's coming together in a way, in a Kairos moment, as they say. And I'm wondering, Derek, if you would add anything to that about why now?
I don't know that I would have much to add to that, Joy, except I might also call on a higher authority and say that the answer to your question is that God is always on time, and the time is now. This is God's work, and we call on God in our baptismal covenant, which tells us that our lives need to be dedicated to doing justice work. And so there's always the right time to do that justice work. And this is, let's be clear, about justice.
Amen, amen, and amen. Thank you so much, Joy and Derek. And we are going now to engage with the community and the members of the Antiracism Transformation Team. And we are going to have a conversation about this information that we are sharing. And then we are going to talk a little bit more with you and then with the constituency tonight with us. So thank you. We'll be back. So if you are a member of the Antiracism Transformation Team at LSTC, let me see what reaction. Give us a heart. Wow. This is amazing. And now I am going to give you all hand claps and celebration. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being a part of this amazing group of people. I have enjoyed all the long, almost a year now of training time that we've spent together building up this team. We have shared tears, we have shared amazing time together. And now I would like to have a conversation with you. And yeah, let me start asking the question, how has been your experience so far? And what have you learned that you didn't know before starting to be being a member of the Antiracism Transformation Team? And I am going to use mutual invitation And I'm going to invite first Crystal.
Thank you, Vima. I think for me, one of the things that I've learned so much about that I didn't really expect is like that it would just be a very big process of trust building, of community building, of relationship building. And like also, I think for me, one of the things that just keeps sticking with me
Crystal, you accidentally hit your mute button.
Okay.
Or somehow. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Thinking about transformational values and how, like I always thought, like I grew up and I was taught good values, and I was taught good values, but I was also taught other values that are actually like contribute to white supremacy, and to name those and to understand those and to start to like recognize those has been really helpful for me. And so I would like to invite now, let's see, Denise.
Thank you, Crystal. I've enjoyed being with you and everyone else on the Antiracism Transformation Team. I think one of the things that I have learned is the depth to which structural racism can really impact an organization. One of the things that we're doing as a team is sort of looking at, we're turning over all the stones, leaving no stones unturned, looking at history and policies and all sorts of things that may be symptoms of the racism. And it's a really in-depth process, and it takes sort of a real strategic approach to address. And so learning sort of how it's infiltrated into different parts of the organization, and then learning strategies from CROAR and being able to adapt those strategies for our situation and our site, I think it's just been really illuminating. So that's what I'll say. And I would like to invite Jan, please.
Thank you, Denise. This has been a powerful process for all of us. And it has by no means been a linear process. It has pulled us into very deep conversations with one another that I've really appreciated. But it has also shown me how difficult this work is and how difficult it will be to transform an institution that really is steeped in white values and is part of a society that is a white supremacist society. I have learned new ways to think about these terms that are different than the way the media presents them to us, the way we talk about them, even in church. I think it's utterly amazing that we have been able to build the kind of trust and team that we have over these months when we've had to do all of this virtually. And I think one of the tools that has helped us do that is coming back to the Courageous Conversations agreement that we have, that we review every time we gather as a group. And I think that helps us recenter ourselves to be honest with one another and to take a risk and to take kind of the internal temperature. You know, where are we? What's going on with us? Which of those pieces of the agreement are we resonating with or having trouble with right now? So it's been a very valuable journey for us individually, but we're also trying to figure out now how we will scale this for the institution itself. And I would like to invite Emmanuel.
Thank you, Jane. um, the first thing that I learned is this anti-racism transformation team has the heart to make people like me has a different identity to feel the belongingness, which is very important for me. Unless there is no belongingness or inclusiveness, I will not feel that I am here with a commitment to fight racism. So that's the first thing I want to acknowledge before I start. And the thing that I learned from this anti-racism transformation team is that it's been so much of hatred, and this team is working on love, which I wanted to actually say, because as at the end of the day, we are all ministers and we are called into this world. And LSTC being vulnerable to its commitment, to revisit its commitment, how it works as an institution, is very important. And I'm grateful for all of you to have, having this team, and the team building and the community building aspect is very powerful. I feel that in my gut. So I'm grateful for all of you that you gave us the feeling of belongingness, and also helping us to critically look at the institution and the models that perpetuates race, and racism. So I learned that, and I'm also trying to articulate so many other things from this team, that there is so much has to do, we have to do, and we have long way to go, but the commitment helps us to move on. So the commitment is very important, and I learned that commitment here, how we should commit ourselves to fight evil. I want to also recognize the say today from Dr. Wickware that we cannot agree to disagree. We have to face the evil and say that it is evil. So I know that's something that great that I've been receiving from each one of you as a team, and I'm proud to be part of this team. Thank you. I invite Pastor Eric.
Thanks so much. The later this goes, the further along it is when you get called on, you have to dig deep for the examples, because we're all sharing a lot of our common experiences. So something I haven't heard discussed yet that I want to lift up, that I really have appreciated about the Anti-Racism Transformation Team's work and process, is some real thoughtfulness about structure and power. So for example, we have a commitment that 51% or more of this team is people of color, because we know that in primarily white institutions, having conversations about race where people of color are a minority in the conversation can repeat patterns of kind of exploitation and marginalization and tokenization that are part of the harm that we're trying to address and deconstruct. So I've appreciated that commitment on the part of the team. And a way that then also shows up in our work is through the use of racial caucusing, where we have times in our work where we break out into a white people's caucus and a people of color caucus in order to do some of our work separately, so that we're not just sort of carrying out all of our patterns and baggage in ways that repeat harm to ourselves and one another thoughtlessly, but instead create accountability to one another, so that where there is work, for example, for white people to do with other white people, that we can do that in a space where the unpacking of our experience and our training and our background and our emotional responses to the work of undoing structural racism doesn't have to happen in ways that kind of repeat patterns of harm to our colleagues who are people of color on the team, and yet that work that happens in caucus stays accountable, so that part of what we're doing is making promises to one another about ways that we're going to pledge to work against our internalized racial oppression and our internalized racial superiority for the sake of our shared work. So that there's a breaking apart for the sake of coming together and doing that work more powerfully and more accountably to one another and to ourselves. So that's a part of the work that I've really appreciated. I'm gonna invite River to offer some reflections.
I want to echo what Pastor Eric said at the beginning, that like the farther along you go, the less there is that's new to dig up. But what's really sticks with me is the importance of being a team and being accountable to each other and being community together in doing this, so that we are all accountable to each other and we are all doing this as a team. And it's not just one person fixing our own stuff. It's not one person taking on an institution. It is all of us doing this for the good of the community, both in the team and in the community in terms of LSTC. Let me see who hasn't gone. I think it might be back to Vima or Jessica.
Jessica, go.
River, I was trying to hide. I was trying to duck in the corner like you don't see me, right? Because it is true. All of what folks have said, it just resonates, and especially River, what you just said, because I have been thinking, what will I say? And it's definitely about, and I'm not sure if it's really what have I learned, but more so what have I gained, and to have a place and a space where a common understanding of the challenges that we face in doing this work is talked about, and I think I've gained greater ways to hear the diversity that shows up, and to hear and to hear again and to hear again, because as both Joy and Derek have said, this is hard work, and it didn't happen overnight. This is years and years and years of work. And so to be present and to listen, I think is so key to that part of community for me. To be present, to listen, and to hear have really been very impactful for me as part of the AT team. And Vima, I will invite you back to take over.
Thank you, Jessica. I want to share a response from Kyle to Margie's question of what is the courageous conversation Jen mentioned. And this is a really important part of how we have been introduced and committed to have the training. So Kyle's response is, at every meeting, we recommit ourselves to our courageous space agreement. Rather than simply a safe space agreement, we commit ourselves to courageously engage in this space together for the sake of transformation. Some of this include taking responsibility, affirming inherent worth, listening to understand, embracing ambiguity, preserving the integrity of stories, and there are some other more. And personally, at the beginning, with the one that I struggled the most was embracing ambiguity. And I believe that as we have been in this process of training, we have been actually challenged and transformed as we come to this space, committed to do the work authentically and being transformed as we are working towards transformation. I think that that is the most important and powerful thing that we are doing and I don't think that it will work in any other way. So it hasn't been always easy. I can tell you that, Margie, and I think that we are still learning how to do this work. And now I am going to move us into the second part of this interview with Joy and Derek. And Francisca, I will appreciate if you can play it again. Thank you so much.
We are back. We're glad to be back. I want to talk a little bit more with Derek and Joy. I have another question, and this question is around specifically this formation of the Antiracism Transformation Team. What has been your experience in working with this team, and the size of the team, and the different dynamics that have occurred, and how we have worked together for almost a year? What can you share with us about that experience?
Well, for me, it's a fantastic experience. I may have mentioned earlier that I spent a good 10 years on an anti-transformation team for my denomination, the Episcopal Diocese of Chicago. And I have to say, it was one of the more powerful experiences of my life, because I saw the growth and change, not only in the participants on the team, but in the diocese and the church itself, and certainly within myself. It's hard to imagine how much one can grow and change when doing this work in a community of people who are dedicated to figuring this out. There are so many barriers, so many reasons that we can opt out for many of us, that sort of choosing to opt in and choosing to do this work among others who are struggling in the face of systemic and institutional racism is one of the most powerful things a person can do. It is certainly not easy, and sometimes are more difficult than others, particularly when we're dealing with crises in the world like the murder of George Floyd and COVID and everything that has revealed around the inequities in our society. But it's one thing to just respond to the pain of all of that. It's another thing to link arms with other people who are committed to fighting for justice in the name of God and tackle these things together. For me, the most powerful aspect of doing that work in community with people who are just as dedicated, perhaps struggling, but just as dedicated as you are. I think that's the beauty of doing this work in community, like an anti-racism transformation team. And I so appreciate the opportunity to do this with others at LSTC.
Yeah, and I've found it to be really rewarding, and I just want to give a shout out to all the team members, because it has not been easy during a pandemic to have to do all of our training sessions on Zoom and when typically we would meet in person. And this is quite a large team, and so we were wondering, how's this going to go? How are we going to keep everybody together? But the team has really been looking out for one another and checking in with one another and participating and showing up even when things are difficult and challenging. And I see such a strong commitment to the work from these team members, and growth even over the sessions we've already had. You know, they often talk about groups forming, that there's these stages of forming, norming, storming, and performing. And we've been seeing the group forming and trying to figure out how are we going to be together as a team, and then going in, especially in our last session with you all, just going really deep in and saying the hard things and not being afraid to get messy. And I really do start to see a we forming, and that what this group is going to be asking of the whole LSTC community, they are doing this work themselves as well. They're the petri dish, if you will. And so they are doing the hard work that they want to bring. And it is a beautiful thing to see and to be part of. And I feel really honored to be a guide along with the group.
Yeah, Jessica, I just I want to say that you know, every single time we gather for the training, I am outstanding and I am honored to be a part of this group and to serve in this process of this process of formation as a leader, at the beginning, I was wondering how many of the initial members were going to be staying all through this journey of training so far. And I am amazed. I mean, we started being 32 and we are still over 25. So I think that that speaks volumes about the amount of commitment and that people are putting into doing this job authentically to better serve LSTC. So yes, I highly value all the time and all your effort and sharing with us your experience. And I think that we have, I mean, these trainings, sometimes the ambience, I will say, can be of tension because we are talking about serious things. And yet we have found joy and we have found gladness and we have found really joyful moments that we have lived together that will be forever a part of our lives. So I don't know if any of you would like to share more about this.
No, I think it's true. I had the opportunity, because I still work with the transformation team I still served on, to spend some time in a workshop with them. And it really was like some kind of a reunion. I really miss those folks. We have developed relationships that will last forever. And not only relationships, but relationships that are grounded in some truth telling and the kind of authenticity that we don't often experience in our culture. And so, yes, absolutely. I find it to be a group of people that sort of go through the fire together, but with a real sense of commitment and really love for each other in many cases. And I would not miss that opportunity if I had the chance to do it over again. It's something that I would certainly embrace, and I feel always honored to be a part of it. And I think people who are able to engage in this way seldom regret the commitment to doing this work together.
Yeah. And I have to say that some of my favorite moments with this LSTC Anti-Racism Transformation Team have been the music. We always incorporate music in our sessions when we open or come back from breaks, and everybody's constantly saying, oh, play this one, play this one. So I'm just going to put a plug out there that the LSTC Anti-Racism Transformation Team is going to have a playlist coming soon that you all can subscribe to, of resistance songs and joyful songs. I also think about the things we've been through. Like, we were on a Zoom when they announced who won the election, I believe.
True,
when Biden
yes.
was officially, we had a dance party, if I remember correctly, and we were also together during the inauguration. And so there's been some pretty amazing moments to be together on, and it makes me think about this Marge Piercy poem called "The Low Road," and one of the lines she says, "And when you say we, and you know who you mean, and each day you mean one more." And I think about that. This is a powerful we. It's not just a getting together for fun social time, although that's part of the group bonding, but it's a group of people who have a common shared analysis of a problem of racism and a shared commitment to dismantle it together. And it's a really powerful thing to be a part of. And we're so glad that your community is supporting this and that you're going to be engaging with this team in their action plans going forward.
Yes, I think this is awesome and fantastic work. Realistic and yet it is going to be so life-giving and such, as well as we are transforming and working towards the transformation of LSTC. We are being transformed as we are collaborating with each other through all of this process, and which is what I love the most about all of this process, knowing and being affirmed that you're not alone, we are not alone. There are a lot of people that are working with us and that are supporting this work. Jessica.
I just am smiling because just listening to these reflections and the sharing of the experiences from Derek and Joy just brought back great memories of dance parties and the music, and just the we-ness is so important. And just want to thank Derek and Joy for being guides for us during this time, folks that we can really look to and receive lots of strength from, and really clear, very clear, direct messages that we can do it, and that this work is difficult, but we can do it. So appreciate you both.
Thank you.
Derek and Joy, I don't know if you would like to share some final thoughts and with us and with the rest of the Antiracism Transformation Team and the community at large of LSTC tonight.
No, nothing for me. I appreciate you giving me the opportunity, us the opportunity to talk about our work. I am really just looking forward to continuing on this journey with LSTC and the Antiracism Transformation Team.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you again for the honor of being part of this. And sometimes we say that in order to dismantle racism and white supremacy in society, it's going to take all of our institutions to be transformed. And so I'm just really glad that you all are on this journey, because we can't be fully transformed as Crossroads and CROAR until you all are and everyone else. So we do really see ourselves as partners on this journey, and we're glad we are not alone.
Thank you so much, Derek and Joy. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for sharing your wisdom, for your commitment and your time, and for still be there with us. And I am so sure that the rest of the Antiracism Transformation Team are clapping with us as we are so appreciative of your work. Thank you. And with this, I think, Jessica, if you don't have anything else, this has been, I think, a great time sharing with Joy and Derek from Crossroads. And please give to Giving Day, give to LSTC, so we can continue supporting the efforts, the institutional efforts to become an anti-racist institution and to raise funds to support scholarships for students of color. I think that these are institutional ways that where we can keep working together to transform the institution from the core, as we create opportunities for others to come and join us in this process towards transformation. So thank you for being with us, and I will see you. Thank you, Joy and Derek. Thank you, Jessica.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
So you heard from Joy and Derek, CROAR trainers and our partners, amazing people. We are so grateful that they are with us in this journey. And as you heard Joy saying, music has been such an important part of this journey, and we are going to do this. It's a dream, but we're gonna come with ideas on how we are going to create this playlist of songs of resistance and melodies of hope, I would like to call it. And I think that our community will love to have something like this. But now let's hear another song as we take a short break, and then we will come back to hear about anti-racism and the arts, listening to Reverend Emmanuel Karunukaren. So that song is a beautiful and powerful song. It has been a hymn of resistance from Mercedes Sosa, Argentinian, and the voice of Latin America. And that is an English version of that powerful hymn. And it's a prayer, and it's a beautiful song, and of course it's a part of my life and everybody who has been connected with the struggles of the people from Latin America. And now it's a blessing to introduce you to Pastor and our colleague as a member of the Antiracism Transformation Team, Reverend Emmanuel Karunukaren. Welcome, Emmanuel.
Thank you, Vima. Hello all, I'm Emmanuel. I'm going to talk about the anti-racism work and art. And I have two of my artworks here, which I will be talking about them also. I got this trigger of fire of connecting with art happened while I was in my seminary. So after coming here, I started doing a research of how art movements and art itself has its concentration more on contemplation and meditation, and how that slowly changed towards a different expression altogether now to work for social justice. And I'm so much inspired by the Black Art movement, which is being born here in Chicago. Being an Indian Dalit artist, I moved by the creative work of the Black Art movement. And I bring the embodied experience of being Dalit and being a person of color living in USA. So the major work that I concentrate is that many times we are monotonized, or we have this idea that there is particular way of looking at things. So as a person from below, from the margin, I started looking at differently. So seeing something differently is always a challenging thing in the dominant hegemonic world. So it is just a way to express my view, my looking at things changed, and it has been a disturbance for the dominant hegemony power. And that also questions the epistemology of the marginalized communities. So this anti-racism transformation work, how it is related through art, is we are silenced. We are not given space to ask questions. The whiteness and its products actually oppress in even loving way. Sometimes these art are seen as something creepy. So many people don't like this kind of art because they look at art as classic one. So an alternate that comes from the marginalized communities, which are many times seen as a disturbing art. So the visual art is an important expression to question the dominant hegemonic powers. So what I feel from my heart, what I bring from my experience can be expressed in the canvas. And that is how I'm doing it. So why I do this is towards the achievement of social justice. Social justice is the main component. We cannot simply take it for granted that one dominant group manipulate and oppress in the name of race. So that is how I work through my artwork, and I'm doing my PhD at LSTC, which is actually a great thing that I feel that how LSTC is also opening itself to commit to the various expressions, not just through the academic writing. So something that is very important. And I see this for such a time as this, as the caption for the Giving Day. And for such a time as this, and this is very important for me. So this one, actually, it is Black Jesus. When I was asked to present for the Black History Month, I drew this Jesus Christ who is having a thorn crown on his head, but still he's smiling. Sometimes black people, not just black people, but the people of color, in US, I really love being here and identify myself with the people of color. And I'm also, even if I'm not identifying, I'll be pushed to that category as well. So looking at this, being a person of color, showing the powerful joy that even after suffering, my joy is liberated, which is very important. And so this smile of Jesus has so much meaning for me in my life and the many lives here in USA. This I did for exclusively for Giving Day on Maundy Thursday. Why I relate this with Maundy Thursday is Maundy Thursday has been a very important day in Christian world, where Jesus Christ himself showed the humility to serve others. So in order to develop or bringing up ministers who really committed for the social justice, social gospel, need to be seen here as Jesus' model. So that's the one thing. You see a feet and a hand washing the feet, you can interpret it in another way. That is the beauty of art expression. On the same day and the next day, somebody washed his hands, saying that I don't have anything to do with this. And that is how it is very much related with the anti-racism work that we are doing. I cannot just hand wash. I have to serve. And this service is also for people like me, a person from a Dalit community back from India, traveling all the way to USA to do my PhD. It's very important. So that is how I relate this art today, that it speaks more than what I have expressed. We cannot just wash hands for such a time as this, and we cannot wait for the moment. It's already here. So that is very important, and the humility that we take as community of God's people. Let us go with this art and reach this world, go into this world, bring them also to us. And there is always another model, which is many a time we forget, because going and telling is easy for many people. Making them come and see is also important. So making come and see the expression that we have, the people of color have, has a lot of meaning in United States of America. So we need to continue to do this work in order to fight the hegemonic powers, show them that there is always an alternative way for liberation, and there is always alternative ways to look in things. Yeah, that's how I relate my work with anti-racism work. So that's thank you for giving me this space to tell about my work, and also seek your support for LSTC in serving. Yeah, you cannot just wash your hands, because you are called into this world and make people come and see you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Emmanuel. Thank you for sharing your gift and your ministry of art and your commitment to continuing doing this work towards the transformation of LSTC. And for all of you who doesn't know, I am the owner of the Black Jesus. But the other work of art, Emmanuel actually gave it to Giving Day for one donor, and it's going to be the contribution as we engage this work of anti-racism and the arts. So thank you so much, Emmanuel, for such a thoughtful gift. And we are here and we're so proud of you and your work. And, you know, we love you. Thank you so much. And I don't know if we have any questions from the rest of the community of those who are in Facebook. Jessica, I don't know if anybody has any comments or any questions for the team.
There were a few comments on Facebook that I just posted to the chat. And I'm sorry, I think I saw Margie Shannon's hand.
I was just thinking about Emmanuel's work and the idea that when you come across a piece of art that makes you uncomfortable, that it's important to explore that and realize why it makes you uncomfortable. It may be something that you need to deal with yourself, that the artist is trying to stir up for people. And so it's kind of a signal to say, why am I having this reaction? So just kind of a comment and reflection on that.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. Very hard work, but necessary work that you're doing. So God bless everyone that's a part of this team. I've been in other circles at other places where there was the anti-racism team and diversity team, and it was always a tough conversation to have. And me being a part of those teams, I was always the minority and the one to be the spokesperson for people of color. And that was even more challenging to have to be that one. But Vima, I wanted to ask a question. You briefly in the video, you briefly touched on the creation of scholarships for people of color. Can you expound on that a little? Because in my conversation with donors, as part of my work as being the philanthropic engagement associate, I'd like to always lift up scholarships, but more conversations have evolved, especially with LSTC being a part of the ELCA and the ELCA's work continuing in that circle. So I wanted to know how and why that is a part of this team, the creation and development of scholarships for people of color.
So I need to maybe clarify a little bit. The creation of scholarships for students of color is not directly a work of the Antiracism Transformation Team. But as a part of the strategic plan of LSTC, there is a team that is working, and their work is focused on develop scholarships for students of color. And why is this important? And we are talking about two specific scholarships that later I'm going to ask Jessica to talk a little bit more about these two specific scholarships. Why is it important that we have scholarships particularly designed for students of color? LSTC has been historically, as so many others, if not all of them, higher education institutions that are grounded on whiteness. And the scholarships that are available, all of them mainly respond to those traditional students that are coming through a pipeline, and most of them are white. And when we are talking about LSTC community and how is LSTC community, we are talking about a community that mostly diversity is encompassed by international students mainly. And then we have African American students and Latino students that are local students, but they are really a few of them. If we want to attract students of color, and I'm talking about students that will respond to the communities that are close to LSTC, we need to create particular scholarships that will be talking about them and their needs and their communities and how they can come to be a part of LSTC. Another role that I have at LSTC is that I am the recruiter at LSTC. So one of the most important things that I learned early on doing this work is that we need to redevelop and establish connection and relationship with the Southside Chicago churches of the ELCA, which means that we need to rebuild relationships to be able to recruit students, Black students in particular. It is impossible, it is a really hard task, let me rephrase that, to attract students of color if we don't have scholarships designed for them. We need to have what they need already put in place if we are going to attract and speak to these students. And we want them to be a part of this process of transformation, and we need their voices, and we need their contribution. But most than anything, the church needs them, the academy needs them. So we need to be clear, and we need to work purposefully to have in place institutionally what they need to be able to compete and to succeed. And that is really important, and I am so glad that we are doing this this way right now. Jessica, I will invite you to share about the two particular scholarships that this Giving Day is taking care of.
Sure, thank you, Vima. The two scholarships are the Grover Wright Scholarship and the Carol Burns Scholarship. The Grover Wright, and both are historical scholarships that were founded as part of the LSTC Gospel Choir, and they're concerned to do just what Vima has said, to raise scholarship dollars for students of color. Mr. Grover Wright, who's now deceased, was a lay person in the Lutheran Church, I believe starting out in the Lutheran Church in America and then into the ELCA. And he was one who was very strong support for people in ministry. And I am sorry that Dr. Perry is not on the Zoom, but he is on Facebook, because I believe that Dr. Perry not only knew him, but was probably encouraged by him. And I recall stories of him from former President James Kenneth Eccles and the impact that Mr. Grover Wright had on him in pursuing ministry. He encouraged lay and clergy in the Lutheran Church. So that scholarship was named for him. And then the other scholarship named for Carol Burns, who I did have the opportunity to meet, was a member of the LSTC Gospel Choir as a student, and then as an alum. I met her when she was an alum. Had a beautiful, melodious voice. And in fact, somewhere, I don't want to get Judah started, but somewhere on campus, there's maybe a CD or two of her doing a concert, a benefit concert for LSTC for scholarships for students of color. And Carol Burns was a pastor of a church on the west side of Chicago, who passed away really too soon. But her scholarships is focused on women who pursue ministry through LSTC, who are seeking to be pastors. So those are the two scholarships that we are lifting up during Giving Day.
Thank you both.
I don't know if anybody else has any questions, if there is any question or any other comment. Oh, yes, Dr. Perry is responding to you, Jessica. that he was. And I remember Dr. Perry being the person when I started working at LSTC, who was the person who told me, if you want to do this work, you need to reconnect and redevelop relationship with the Southside churches. So for that, I am so grateful, because that has served me a long way. So thank you, Dr. Perry. Thank you for your commitment and your years working at LSTC. You were highly valued and respected for your contributions to this community and to this work of anti-racism. Thank you again. Now I want to open this space to collect your reactions, comments, and final remarks before we conclude this with another song. Anybody, just feel free to jump in.
I'll jump in again. You know, want to say to all of you and the others on the team, thank you for your commitment and for stepping forward to do this. I know when they talked about putting this together, you always wonder if people will come forward for it, and to hear that there was over 30 people that were going to commit to do this was just amazing to hear. And so, you know, I'm a bit jealous, you know, that I'm not on this committee to make these relationships with everyone. But I know you're doing the hard work for the school, and I can't wait to hear what comes out of this that will help us to grow as a seminary and to grow as a community. And so, yeah, just thank you for your dedication. It doesn't go unseen.
Thank you so much, Margie. And well, I think Dr. Perry is responding. Thank you, Jessica, for thanking me for my comments. Thank you again, Dr. Perry. One thing that I need to say is that we have a list of people who are interested in becoming members of the Antiracism Transformation Team. And yes, there will be an opportunity to be a member of the Antiracism Transformation Team. I am so glad and again honored to know that so many people have been reaching out and looking at to be at LSTC as students and other areas, because the Antiracism Transformation Team exists at LSTC. So that shows up that we are doing great work, and that we will continue to do this work, supporting each other, that we are not alone, and we are not doing this work on ourselves. And with God's help and the help of the Spirit, and with the love that we are putting in this, and our strengths and our commitments towards a better world in general, and to make this institution to serve better justice to everybody, because racism affects us all. That is one thing that we have been learning. It affects us all. It oppresses all. And this is why we need to keep working and dismantling institutional racism and putting our best towards the transformation of LSTC. It's not an easy task. It is not a short time task, but hey, we are doing it, and we are doing it well. And for that, we all should be really grateful. So we are going to
Vima, I have a question. I do have, Vima, I have a question.
Yes.
So is this limited only to LSTC? So do you have to only be faculty, student in order to be a part of this team?
Thank you, Judith, for that question. No, actually not. And that is a great question. Let me explain that. Actually, we have alumni members, and we have members from other ACTS, which is the Association of Chicago Theological Schools. We have members from ACTS, And then we have people from every other area at LSTC. So no, you don't have to be actually a part of the internal structure of LSTC. Yes, we have a membership application, and we have a committee that will be evaluating your application. And this is an important part of what we do to select our members. But I need to say that when we received the amount of applications, we did a great work at evaluating applications. And I need to tell you that we only denied one application, because when we read the essays, people were giving us so good and grounded and profound reasons for why they wanted to be a part of this movement. And I'm going to say it again, Antiracism Transformation Team is not a moment. It is a movement that will be a part of the history of LSTC. So due to your response, no, and I'm so sure that we are going to open this opportunity, and we will evaluate and welcome new members.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else have something else to share? Okay, how about we close with a song that I love, and it's a spiritual song. Let's do this. And have a good night, everybody. Thank you for being here.
One day, when the glory comes, it will be ours, it will be ours. Oh, one day, when the war is won, we will be sure, we will be sure. Oh, glory, glory, glory. Oh, glory, glory. Hands to the heavens, no man, no weapon formed against. Yes, glory is destined. Every day women and men become legends. Sins that go against our skin become blessings. The movement is a rhythm to us. Freedom is like religion to us. Justice is juxtaposition in us. Justice for all just ain't specific enough. One son died, his spirit is revisiting us. True and living in us. Resistance is us. That's why Rosa sat on the bus. That's why we walk through America with our hands up. When it go down, we woman and man up. They say stay down, and we stand up. Shots we on the ground, the camera panned up. King pointed to the mountaintop, and we ran up. One day, when the glory comes, it will be ours, it will be ours. Oh, one day, when the war is won, we will be sure, we will be sure. Oh, glory, glory, glory. Oh, now the war is not over, victory isn't won, but we'll fight on to the finish. Then when it's all done, we'll cry glory, oh glory, oh glory, we'll cry glory, oh glory, oh. Salmons now for every man, woman, and child. Even Jesus got his crown in front of a crowd. They march with the torch, we gon' run with it now. Never look back, we done gone hundreds of miles. From dark roads, heroes, to become a hero. Facing the League of Justice, power was the people. Enemy is lethal, a king became regal. Saw the face of Jim Crow under a bald eagle. The biggest weapon is to stay peaceful. We sing, our music is to cut hearts that we bleed through. Somewhere in a dream he had an epiphany. Now we right the wrongs in history. No one can win a war individually. It takes the wisdom of the elders, young people's energy. Welcome to the story we call victory. The coming of the Lord, my eyes have seen the glory.
One day, when the glory comes, it will be ours. It will be ours. Oh, one day, when the war is won, we will be sure.
So sure,
we will be sure.
So sure to the world.
Glory.
God be the
glory. Oh, yeah, yeah. Glory. Oh, glory. Glory. Oh, glory. When the war is won, glory. When it's all said and done, glory. We'll cry glory. Glory. Oh, glory. Oh.
And indeed, to God be the glory forever and ever and ever. Amen. Thank you all for being here. Blessings. May you have a restoring, resting night. And may you be blessed as we continue doing this work. Take care, people. Love you all. Thank you all. Bye-bye. Thank you, Jessica. Thank you, Cecily. Thank you, Francis, so much.
Thank you, Vima. Very nice job.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, František.